Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at all of the ranged weapon enchantments and what my thoughts are on each of them in Minecraft Dungeons. So the first one is Accelerate. Now this increases the attack speed for each consecutive shot that you take. So if you keep shooting arrows, it means every second shot or every shot that you take after which will be faster, up to 12% faster per shot, which is crazy because you could be shooting like a machine gun after like the first 7 shots. Like, and this is a boss killer enchantment. When you use this enchantment, you're going to be wanting this one for bosses, trust me. A strong bow with Accelerate, you're going to be murdering bosses like crazy. The next one is Bonus Shot. Firing a shot also fires a second shot at a nearby enemy. The second shot does reduce damage, and about 24% damage per shot is the highest you can go. I don't really think this is that great. 24% damage of your original shot doesn't seem really worth it in my opinion. Chain Reaction is the next one. It is a powerful, it has a chance to fire 5 arrows in all directions on impact. So right as it hits an enemy, it has a chance to blow up into 5 extra arrows. This works really well if you pair it with something like Multishot, which we're going to talk about soon. This has a 30% chance to trigger. I don't really see it as being high tier, but it is a really good one. Enigma Resonator. I haven't actually seen this in game, but it does give you a chance to triple damage based on the number of souls you have. So it has a 0 to 25% chance to trigger at maximum, like, upgrading ability, I guess, your highest tier. This is pretty insane if you're using a soul building thing. So if you have a full amount of souls and you can do triple damage with your bow, that's actually pretty crazy. So if you use this with a soul building ability with a strong bow, you can be a monster. Fuse Shot is every few shots you have a timed charge that explodes 1 second after impact, dealing 100% damage to nearby mobs. You can actually upgrade this so that every third shot basically explodes. And with multi-shot, that's just madness, dude. Gravity is something we've seen on all of the different gear has gravity for some reason. Now this, when you shoot an arrow at an enemy, it has the effect to pull all the enemies around that enemy towards that arrow shot. So when you hit an enemy, every enemy around it will pull towards that area, and you can just fire more arrows, I guess. If you're using like explosion arrows, it might come in handy. Growing is something where you fire a shot in the air, and it gains damage depending on how far the enemy is. So if you're shooting an enemy from very far away, this is going to do a lot of damage, up to 75% maximum damage. So maybe something with a strong bow and Accelerate and shooting an enemy from very far away like a boss, this could come in handy. The next one is Infinity. This gives you a chance to immediately replenish an arrow after shooting, up to a 45% chance to trigger. Sure, this is handy if you're like really trying to get some extra arrows and you keep running out, but certain builds with arrow or bows, you actually never really run out of arrows unless you're just straight up wasting them. But if you're using an Accelerate build, you might actually need something like this to just keep your arrow pool up. If it is a problem, maybe go for something like this. Multi-shot, now this is something that is a key feature in one of the bows that I like using. Multi-shot with one of those bows that shoot like 3 shots or like multiple projectiles. Dude, multi-shot with a bow that shoots 3 arrows. You can shoot like 8 arrows almost at a time, and it's crazy. Anything that and all those arrows get buffed by whatever arrow thing you do. So like Fuse Shot or Radiant Shot, like just dude, it becomes immense. Multi-shot grants you the chance to fire 5 arrows at once with a 40% chance to trigger. This is a insane AoE killer. And even if you do it at close range, when an enemy is near you and you fire multi-shot in their face, they will literally die because it's like 5 arrows just hit them in the face. I love multi-shot. It's one of my favorites. Piercing is something where the arrows, where you fire them, can go straight through an enemy and can, like, hit like multiple enemies. So it can, like, if imagine enemies in a line and you can just like hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with like one arrow. I don't really find it super helpful. Maybe with like multi-shot or something, but you can actually upgrade this so that every arrow goes through every enemy. I don't really find it super helpful though. I feel like there's a lot better enchantments out there. Poison Cloud is something that you also get on the bow, so that when you shoot enemies, there's a 30% chance to summon a Poison Cloud that deals damage to enemies in that area for up to 3 seconds. You can actually change that, or not change that, but you can upgrade it so that it does higher damage per second, which is okay. I still don't really like it. I feel like there's better options out there, but it's something if you don't have any other better choice, I guess. Power is something that boosts the actual damage of the arrow. So you can boost this up to 33% damage per the arrow you're shooting. This might work for something like where you're using Accelerate and Power to kind of like destroy a boss from far, but there are better options. Punch is one that will give you knockback for every time you shoot an arrow at an enemy, up to 400% knockback or pushback as they call it here, where an enemy, when you shoot them, they'll just like fly backwards so they'll never get towards you or next to you to hit you. This is kind of like if you're a glass cannon and you're afraid of dying or enemies hitting you, maybe use this so that it keeps them very far away from you, especially if you're going for a ranged weapon kind of build where that's your main focus. The best healing enchantment on a ranged weapon is Radiance Shot, which has a 20% chance to spawn a circular area around an enemy after shooting them that will heal allies within that circle. So they're basically, the enemies will explode with light, and if you're nearby, you'll heal for quite a lot if you're using the highest tier of this enchantment. It is really a good heal. You can even damage or out heal a redstone golem that's hitting you in the face. You can just keep shooting him with a bow and you'll be healing quicker than he can damage you. That's how overpowered Radiant Shot is. Don't sleep on this. Rapid Fire is like a really crappier version of Accelerate. It just increases your base attack speed by up to 20%, but obviously that's it. It's like 20% of your normal attack speed. So if your bow's already slow, 20% of that is not going to make it that much faster. But if you're using Accelerate, however, you'll be fast as F. Ricochet is something where you have a small chance for arrows to ricochet off of mobs with up to a 60% chance to trigger. Maybe with something like Multishot, this will be really effective, but if you have chain reaction is a way better option than Ricochet, in my opinion. Supercharge is something where you charge your bows, bows that can be charged, because certain bows you can hold the aiming button down for longer so that the bow string draws back further, so you can shoot for a lot more damage, and you can increase that damage by using Supercharge by up to 40%, and it will also have more pushback to knock the enemies back a little bit more. Tempo Theft is something that I haven't really used because it doesn't seem really helpful. It is for a speed build, however, like to complete a level as quickly as possible, because what it does is every time you shoot an enemy, you steal their speed, and you can steal up to 50% speed. I don't really get how this works, and I haven't really wasted one of my weapons to try this out. Enchanting is something where projectiles will deal more damage to enchanted enemies. I haven't actually seen a lot of enchanted enemies, and they only really show up a lot in Apocalypse and rarely in Adventure. But, 100 boost bonus damage on that doesn't really seem super effective if you can just boost the damage on your bow much more by using other methods instead of targeting just enchanted enemies. Doesn't feel worth it. Wild Rage is our final enchantment here, where when you hit an enemy, it has a chance to send it into a rage, making it hostile towards everyone. This is actually a really fun one, especially if you have lots of enemies around you and you're like, oh, no, use Multishot with a 40% chance to trigger Wild Rage. Boom! And now half of the enemies are attacking themselves and you're just like, have fun, kids. I'm out. And they just attack each other. It's actually a really fun ability. I don't know how well it works. Maybe for end game it's really good. Early game you're killing things mostly with one shot anyway, but end game it you really have lots of enemies running at you and it takes 3 arrow shots to kill them, So I really recommend using 2 builds here. Is a multi-shot build and an accelerate build, but never at the same time. It really depends on the bow. If you're using multi-shot, use the bow that does a lot of arrows. And if you're using Accelerate, kind of go for hectic, strong, single target damage, because that's going to kill bosses. You want a boss killer, and you want a mob pack killer. Those are the 2 types of bows that I see you using in the game. And yeah, that's the enchantments for bows in Minecraft Dungeons. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in a future video. Thank you for watching.